Hello.
Hi.
I'm just going to stop. Things are changing. Oh, my God. Oh, thank you so much.
Here.
All right. So, does
So,
anybody want to say what that means to you? Not to, there isn't a right answer, but I just thought we could get a discussion going on that. Lynn, please.
wow, namaste, dear souls. My therapist, the one who told me I didn't need therapy anymore, told me I'm self-realized. And believe me, it took a long time to accept that.
Well, how would you define it?
Being okay.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Being okay. I love that. Anybody want to add to that? What is, there isn't a right answer, just whatever it means to you. Katie.
When you said that, Rosalyn, what occurred to me is when I am most present in the now, in this instant, just totally focused in the now. And I think I can do that even beyond when I'm meditating.
Yes. Yes.
And my goal is to practice that, live that. But when you said it, that's what came to my mind.
It's beautiful. Don't you love that too? All of these answers I love. Anybody else have another one? There's no right answer. Yes, Rafi.
Well, when you're in that total state of being where you can look at the person that you thought you were before and realize that that's just a story, that's just a projected image. You were never born, you don't exist the way you seem, and you can't die. Your immortality itself, you're right, there is no clear definition for it, but that state of bliss is beyond the physical, beyond the causal, behind all the other realms that are higher than the physical, its being. And you're right, there's no clear definition for it. You are it. So there's no point in who you're going to explain it to if there is nobody.
That's beautiful too. Wow, I love these definitions. Aren't they all beautiful? Robin, please. You're muted, honey.
When I center and I come back home over and over and over.
Wow. Wow, I'm glad we're recording these. Wow, I want to write them down. They're beautiful. Aren't they beautiful? Am I the only one who's going, wow? Fun. Rico, please.
I don't have a definition, but I have an example.
Yes, please.
I'm walking down the street, totally centered, totally in love's presence, just observing everything that's there and in love with it. I've done my prayer and meditation before I leave the house. I'm in the total forgiveness on everything I look upon. And this guy comes out of nowhere and says, "Hey, you, we don't want your kind here. Get out of here. Why don't you go back to where you came from?" And you can honestly spin around and say, "I love you, man. Have a beautiful day." And don't come out to entertain him and keep moving. To me, that's a real live one.
Wow. I would say you gave us a gorgeous definition, and to what I heard is staying in love, no matter. Staying in love, no matter. Wow.
Well, that was
Unfortunately, the story is true.
Really? That happened to you?
Ideas don't get pulled out of where you are.
Yeah, wow. And what was your response?
I said, "I love you. Have a beautiful day." Because I didn't want to get yanked out.
Yeah. Did you feel
If I
it?
get yanked out, I lose.
Did you feel it? Did you stay in love?
I had to.
It's beautiful.
And that's being the light. This is bringing the light. This is how it's going to change. One person, one heart, one situation at a time. You're bringing the light, Rico, into the darkness, and that person can't help but be affected. I don't know in what way, but it's certainly not a nothing.
Yeah.
I
you're
continued
bringing
and
light.
raving as I walked away peacefully. But what I did was I just kept praying for him
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful.
on my way.
That's
Because
the
the
best you
alternative is
can do.
insanity.
The best you can do. Perfect. Perfect.
Wow, yes.
Perfect.
Beautiful, Rico. Beautiful.
Well, I think we can all go home. We've had the teaching from tonight. From everyone in Rico's example, I'm filled. That's beautiful. Wow. Lovely. Anybody else? Oh, what would you say, Kazi?
I would say just being very similar to what Katie said, being very much in the present, in the now.
Mhm.
And I feel like in glimpses, building those moments more and more of just being present and being in that quietness.
I love that. Yeah, Karen. Oh, Arba, you know what we're doing? We're
Beautiful. Yeah.
waiting for people to come in. And we've just had a wonderful class already on people sharing what it means to them, the word realization or awakening. What does it mean to, not the right definition, but just our definition? There is no right definition.
I love what, was it Roz? Was it Rob? Or the one that said, thank you and.
Rico.
Rico,
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
isn't
Just
it?
engage and to just have love no matter what else is going on.
Yeah. Were you there, Arba, for Rico's story?
Oh.
Yeah, great. I didn't see when you came in. Do you have something that you'd like to share on what that is for you?
Well, my mind was going to, what to say, and what's come into my awareness is just this feeling of joy for no particular reason at all. And I had two experiences this weekend. One, I was looking at my son and just remarking on his growth and his maturation. And I just felt overwhelmed by a sense of love and well-being and rightness. Everything in that moment just felt that way. And on another day, I walked past my daughter, and I always see her as a beautiful young woman. She's 16 now. But just in that moment, it was like all I could see was her beauty. So I think realization, awakening, I think is this knowing of more than just is in the moment. I don't have better words than that.
That's beautiful. And I just want to add one thing to what you said that's so beautiful, Arba. Oprah's never been a parent, and many of us watched her show over the years, so you've probably heard this too. But she said something so wise, and it was when a child comes in the room, there's nothing they want more than to see your face light up. And I think I remember that because I think I may have had that when I was like baby up to toddler, but I think after that it didn't happen. So I really appreciate what you're saying, this causeless joy that you felt looking at your children twice this week. It's very beautiful. It is realization. That's another gorgeous definition. That's what we're doing, Karen. We're sharing definitions of realization or awakening. Did you want to share one, Karen? Or are you eating dinner?
We are eating dinner, yes, but I will share later.
Okay, thank you, dear. All right, so I think we probably have most of everybody who's coming. I wanted to wait for sure because we have the video that I want to share is only 4 minutes. So here we go.
Rosalind, I think
Yeah.
Zuma was gonna share.
Oh, were you? Oh, good. Zoma, please. I didn't want to call on you because I don't know you well enough to call on you.
I started to raise my hand and you said, well, just okay, I'll wait then maybe later. Hi everyone. No, I was thinking about in the course in the last chapter, the section rules for decision. And it talks about what kind of a day do you want to have? Actually looking at it, realizing the day. This is the kind of day I want to have. And it's possible that as the day gets started, it may not, you can always step back and choose again, which is what I love, that you can choose again and still again look at what kind of a day I want to have. And you see it, you realize it, you make it real to yourself, and then attempt to follow through with that.
Wow, that's beautiful too. Each and every association to that word is so striking. We're going to do this again. I love your contributions. You're making me a better teacher because this is a better class. I love it. I love what your shares. I feel lucky to be here. Rico, you have your hand raised.
Real quick, I just wanted to ask Zoma, what section was that in? You're muted.
Rules for decision in the last chapter of the text.
And Dov is here, just in time. Dov, what we've been doing for the first 15 minutes before you got here is people were sharing their associations, their meaning to the word awakening or realization. And it's been quite profound and very extraordinary. So I encourage you to listen to the replay so you hear what our members had to say. I'm going to put your hand down, Rico, so that I know when it goes up again. And it's not giving me that choice, so maybe you would put it down. Thank you. All right, so we are going to look at the video now. It's only 4 minutes. Let's see, here we go. It's not working that way, so we'll do it another way. Just a second, I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to do this and then do this, and I will share the screen, and there it is. All right, and now I'll make it bigger.
This is my first sad saying. Okay. You have a picture of a couple of men on the table beside you.
Aye.
Who are they?
Okay, good. This one. This is a photograph of my master, Sri Punjaji Papaji. And this is a photograph of Sri Ramana Maharshi, who is the guru of him, the master of him.
What is a guru?
A guru is like a human being who has realized their original nature and has transcended the influence of the ego and the mind.
Is this possible in a human?
It is totally possible. It is totally possible. And this is why I'm here.
What are you saying?
I am saying that if I felt it was not possible, that in sharings like this, that you will come to irrefutable clarity and doubtlessness that you cannot be anything other than what I'm pointing at. If it was even a doubt in me that it was not possible, that through the sharing you could come to see this, I would not bother coming here. I would not bother, I would not think of coming here or anywhere else if I felt it was not possible to come and in sharing like this, that you would see that you are not your conditioning, you are not your education, you are not what you've been thinking you are, that you are that itself which is timeless, indestructible, undying, eternal, pure, and free. If I didn't feel that it is possible for you to see this like I see it and I would not come here.
I know it is possible to see it.
Yes.
Is it possible to live it?
No. There's nobody who can live it. There's no one who can live it, because in the seeing of it, there's nobody there to live it. And this is freedom. If there was someone there to live it, you would know mostly failure. The sense of the doership in us is mostly a failing device. See that this device is not true. It's a fraud. It's not real. Reject it completely. And what remains is that which is effortless. It is not living it. It simply is. It does not have to remember how to be this, how to stay like this. This is the common misconception which leads to so much suffering and a sense of failure.
Why is it so uncommon to have people like this?
This is my question. Because what I see in you is this. My question and quest is to find out, why don't you see this, what I see?
Thank you.
Very great.
Wow, is that powerful? Was I the only one that, did you resonate with that? Let me make sure I get it. Okay. Was that powerful? Can I read you again a few of his words? Would you like that? Yeah. So he says, a realized one knows their original nature and has transcended the influence. He doesn't say they've transcended and they don't have an ego or a mind. He said a realized one knows their original nature and has transcended the influence of the ego and the mind. The ego, because of residual, how many, 40, 50, 60, however old you are, years being taught, being educated, being good students of our training, we've acted as though the ego was us. So it's gonna do its thing just out of habit. But that doesn't mean that we have to be under its influence. Anybody want to respond to that? Lynn, please.
That was really good. I love Mooji. Yeah, I think, to be, not to live it, to be it. And to be it is to live it, but not you living it. It's love.
Well, let's get to that, because those of you like Dov, and some of you in this room are scholars of A Course in Miracles. I would call you scholars. And the Course talks to us as though there's a personal self. It talks to us, your father, what could your father not give you? and I would love to have Dov speak to that and some of the rest of you, because I know that the Course also knows of oneness, where there is no longer a separate person. There is only the oneness. And it speaks to us on several levels. So we'll get to that. But let's just look at, because we'll get lost in that. And Dov has a lot to say, wonderful stuff to say. And I'd love him to talk to that self that doesn't exist in the oneness that, well, the Course says our only problem is a belief in separation. So it fits totally. And yet it talks to a personal self. What could you have fear? This is a paraphrase, if you knew it was all planned for you. But let's get to that in a minute. He says, irrefutable, if you have irrefutable clarity that you cannot be anything other than the pointers. And the pointers are, you are timeless, you are indestructible, you are undying, eternal, pure, and free. Course tells us these things too. We know these things in our experience when we allow the personal self to disappear. So let's just take a moment and have our own experience, and then go maybe back to some of his words. So I came across today an image, and it's a Rupert image from his newest book, but it fits beautifully into a meditation. And so it's a meditation where right now we'll imagine a watercolor painting of a scene with mountains, a nature scene, sky, trees, mountains. Picture that. Just be enjoying the painting. Create one in your own mind, a watercolor painting. You've left yourself, you've left your day, you've left whatever's happening. You've even left your food if you're eating. And you're just totally enjoying this watercolor. And now you're noticing there's what looks like a cloud, because it's white. And you're kind of enjoying how that looks with the sky and the rest of the scenery. And then you notice that there's no paint on this piece of paper where that cloud is. So you are that white cloud. You are the piece of paper before the paint. And the paint comes on, and the paint is the coloration. It's your size, it's your hair color, your eye color, your height, it's the size you've been given, and your intelligence and your personality and so on. But the paper behind it was there before the paint got on. And so the you that is timeless, the you that is indestructible, the you that is eternity, the you that is impersonal, the you that is pure and free is the paper. And when the paint comes on, it's just another layer. You're still the paper, and you're the coloration of the tree or the cloud. If the painter decided to paint the cloud instead of leave it white, none of what is on the painting takes away from the paper. You're still the paper. And you're the coloration. And the coloration is part of the paper. And you are part of divinity. And your personal self that appears to be separate and appears to be striving and sometimes appears to be a doer. And the doer is only part of the painting that thinks it needs more. It's that ego that thinks it needs more. But it's actually just fine as the paper. But it's fine with the ego too. It's fine with the color too. It's only when our minds start judging the personal self and believing it's separate and believing it's in charge and believing it's God that we get in trouble. So we are and always have been the paper before we were born and after our bodies leave. So you can come back into the room and I'm just going to say one more thing from the video. The doership is a failing device. If you see it as a fraud, then what remains is that which is effortless. What remains is that which is effortless. So when we take credit for the kind of movement we were chatting about in the beginning of the hour, we were talking about when you write and you don't even know what you're going to write and words come out, or you paint and it seems like from somewhere else. There's a way to do the doership and not feel like the doer, not take credit or blame, just be part of what's going on the paper. Does that make sense to everybody? That it's what's on top of the paper, but we're still the paper. So when this writing comes through or the art comes through, we can live life not as the one trying. That's what he means by, I believe, by it being a failing device. Trying means you don't believe you're it already. You don't know you're the divine. So trying to be the divine is going to fail. Well, just like trying to stop smoking is going to fail. If anybody says, I'm going to try and stop smoking, pretty much they're not going to stop smoking. They've either stopped smoking or they're smoking, but trying is a failure device, right? I can see that Zulma got that joke. I'm not really very funny, so when I tell a joke, I have to appreciate if somebody laughs. So you can come back into the room, and Dov, would you like to share on effortless or anything on the video or whatever you'd like to? You had a plan that
no, the one thing I didn't have is a plan. I did not.
Well, you sent me some stuff that you.
Well, yeah, I did say I saw the word effortless, and I do have something I could post there. I have already on the chat queue. But I want to say a couple of words before I speak about that.
Please.
With regard to the things that the colors that we add onto, there's a section of the course, chapter lesson number 12, one of my favorite lessons, says the exact same thing, by the way. And in paragraph 5, he says, what is meaningless is neither good nor bad. Why then should a meaningless world upset you? If you could accept the world as meaningless and let the truth be written upon it for you, it would make you indescribably happy. So what we do is exactly as you said. We think we have to add our own stuff, so the word more, as you looked it up, that's the Antichrist. Well, I think it should be, it could be meaningless, but I think it should be this. So we add whatever it is. I think it should be all the people should be for this, all the people should be. So we add our own thoughts to a meaningless world. The world, he tells you there is no world, but we add it. But if we didn't add it, the truth would be given to us. And that's exactly what I'm about to read, because the word effortless appears a couple of times in the course, but one of them is in chapter 20, section 4, called the entering the ark. And in paragraph 8, I call this the abundance prayer. Abundance prayer, because it gives you everything that you need, everything in these 2 paragraphs. And I put it on the I put it in the chat. If you want, I will read it. It says, you may wonder how you can be at peace when while you're in time, there's so much that must be done before the way to peace is open. So the ego is thinking, I got to do so much. Then one day I can finally go on vacation and be at peace. That's how the ego thinks. It's the other way around. Perhaps this seems impossible to you, but ask yourself, is it possible that God has a plan for your salvation that does not work? But once you accept his plan, the word accept is the key word here. It's our willingness to accept what it is that is given to us, rather than question it and resist it and wonder, well, how do I know this is going to work? That's the ego. The ego is always analyzing, trying to figure things out. Well, why should I give up my freedom? If I don't even know if this thing is going to work. It's in your acceptance of God's teacher as the Holy Spirit, in which it becomes effortless. Okay, continuing here. It says, once you accept his plan as the one function that you would fulfill, there will be nothing else the Holy Spirit will not arrange for you without your effort, And then here's the free giveaway prayer, which I call the abundance prayer. He, Holy Spirit, will go before you, making straight your path. So there's no curves, there's no hills and valleys. Path becomes very straight, leaving in your way no stones to trip on. And I trip on a lot of stones in this world. That's how I broke my hip, by the way. And no obstacles to bar you away. So the things that you think are going to be difficult, when you get there, they aren't there anymore. And I can tell you out of my experience that is true. Things that I thought that were going to work against me, all of a sudden they dissolved and weren't there anymore. Nothing that you need will be denied you. Nothing that you need will be denied you. Very important. He doesn't say nothing you want will be denied you. He says nothing you need to fulfill your part in God's plan for salvation. Nothing you need will be denied you. Not one seeming difficulty, but will melt away. So the obstacles just melt away before you reach it. It says you need not take thought for anything. You can be thoughtless. You don't have to think about it. Only the ego has to think about it. You can be careless of everything except the only purpose, and only purpose has meaning. That's today's lesson, lesson 25. I do not know what anything is for. First sentence, purpose is meaning. What is my purpose? Purpose will tell you everything about your path. And you can ask, what is your purpose right up front? It says, nothing you need will be denied you, not one seeming difficulty, but will melt away before you reach it. You need not take thought for anything, careless of everything, except the only purpose that you would fulfill, as that was given to you, so will its fulfillment be. God's guarantee. I always like to stop here. The ego is saying, God's going to give me a guarantee. Wow, I win. I'm out of here. Wait, here's the clause that the ego does not want to hear. God's guarantee will hold against all obstacles, for it rests on certainty and not contingency. It rests on you. And what can be more certain than the Son of God? So the ego, which lives in doubts, well, how do I know it's going to work? Ego, which lives in denial. Denial is how we got here. We denied the truth. Has no idea what the word certainty is. And the what am I, the Holy Son of God, which is in the lesson, what am I? He says, you are the Holy Son of God. You are whole, complete, and certain and innocent. So certainty is the Son of God. Self-doubt, looking at, why am I better than somebody else? Why is somebody better than me? All those questions are of the ego. Ego asks questions. The Holy Son of God has certainty that he is as God created. I am as God created. And there's that lesson. There's nothing your holiness cannot do. There's nothing your certainty cannot do.
So Dov, you are saying, I'm hearing you answer what I asked earlier. I'm hearing you say that the you that the Course in Miracles is speaking of right here is not a personal you. It's the divine you. It's the white paper. It's the you that belongs to God, that is the same as God, that is actually not the Son of God. It is part of God. It's not a separate family member or personal like that. It's just an image that is a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a mask, given mask. The body is like a suit of clothes or a car. When it's used, you just get another car or another suit of clothes.
But what about the father image? What would you say about the father image? Do you think that that's given to us in the beginning so that we can relate to God? Because when we come to the Course, we're usually so full of attack thoughts that we don't know about. We're so separate and we believe that's the truth, that it's kind of like a lifeline that's given to us to get us to start opening up.
Well, when you say the Father, I mean, the Father and the Son are one and the same.
But he speaks to us as though that they're not. What could you not trust if you knew that your father?
Why do you say he speaks to us that they're not the same?
Well, doesn't it sound that way when in some of the lessons? Zolma, what were you shaking your head? Tell me, please.
Well, I mean, the most commonly used lesson in the Course is, I am not a body.
Yes, I'm free. I'm still.
I am free. I am still as God created me. The Father and the Son are one. And there's a line in the Course. There's 2 or 3 lines. One says, nowhere to say the Father ends and the Son begins. So there's no line in the sand.
Right.
It's oneness.
Right. But sometimes the words speak as though there are 2. Please, Zolma, you wanted to join in.
So the Course teaches that God, that we are part of God. And I think of it as us all having the same spiritual DNA. The Father is that from which we have our DNA, or like the sunshine, the different rays of the sun. It's one sun, but the different rays of it. So if you would, the Father being the sun, the S-U-N in this case, and we being the S-O-Ns of the S-U-N. So it takes every grain of sand to be the beach. I can't call myself the beach, and none of us can call ourselves the beach, but we can all call ourselves grains of sand of the beach, and the beach is incomplete without us. And everything that's on the entire beach is in a single grain of sand. So we all have the same spiritual DNA. I believe the Course speaks to us that way because, first of all, when we first come to the Course, we don't have a clue. We still don't have a clue, but we are more clueless than ever. Like, what is this stuff? What is this book saying? And I've heard it said, word salad. What in the world is this? So the Course initially speaking to what we call the ego, which is nothing anyway. That's something that we're making up. It's the boogeyman, I call it. The Course is speaking. It's speaking to the boogeyman, trying to get the boogeyman to understand that even it is not real. But initially, to tell me that nothing I see means anything, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah,
No,
exactly. So I just love everything that both of you have said. Dov, it's beautiful. And Zelma, I love the sun and the rays and the DNA. Yeah, just a second, Dov. Lynn's had her hand up for a while.
Yeah.
I just want to say we're facets of one diamond.
Yeah, I get it all with the oneness. I just feel like with some of the wording, people get stuck in the two-ness.
That's the ego. The words are the ego. I know words. Yeah, I got upset for a while at words. See, for me, it worked. The dualistic talk works. As long as I know I'm not dualistic, but the dualistic talk helps me. So, I believe whatever resonates, whatever helps.
Yes. But I just wanted more people to hear the non-dual from A Course in Miracles. I can pull in the non-dual from other places, and I know that it's in the Course as well, because I can tell you certain lessons where it speaks directly to the non-dual. But what I was asking, and Zolma did it, Dov did it, and you did it, was to speak to when it sounds dualistic, show me and others how it isn't. And that's what you did it too with the sun, Lynn. Yeah, and Zolma did it. And Dov did it. So yeah, anybody else, does anybody ever get caught in that?
Yeah, I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
That what you just said. I think that what I'm feeling about this is that sometimes I am separate because my ego makes me feel separate. Now that's a lie. And then what happens is I'm allowed, with what was in that text that Dov read, I'm allowed to say, wait a minute, I have everything. This can't be real. I have it all now. And so if I'm in that place of, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to get there? That's me. That's that ego. And that, quote unquote, makes me feel separate. But because I know I'm not separate, because I know that there is only one, I can say, stop.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get back on board with, you already have it all.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
And I think that is what that meant to me. That verse from the text meant when God was saying, wait a minute, Suzanne, what is it you think you don't have? You are one with me. I've already given you everything. Don't you think that's what it is?
Yeah.
That separateness that you feel is in that ego moment when you're denying yourself. You're saying, I'm just this wee person, not the big I.
Forgotten. Yeah.
The mini me. Yeah.
Dov is waiting to get in there. Come on, Dov.
Okay, Suzanne, just nailed it. And I want to say something about Zulma too. Basically, it's your awareness that it's your ego talking to you. Awareness awareness of awareness is awareness seeing awareness. You're basically that like your Rupert Spira idea. You got to be aware of who's speaking to you. I think that's the easiest way to do the course. Once you realize the ego is not your friend, once you realize the ego is always talking to you, then you don't have to listen anymore. You really don't have to listen. As you stop your listening to the ego, it's really not going to tell you you can't do this and things like that. When I first started the course, the ego was saying, well, you can't do that. You can't do this. After a while, you listen to it, but you don't react anymore. Now, the reason I want to mention Zulma is part of a group that we have on Tuesdays where we go deep dive into the text. And she mentioned the words content versus form. And I think that the content and versus form, which the Course in Miracles talks about, we are content, words, concepts, things of this world is form. Form is anything that begins in time and ends in time. It's measurable. It has a beginning, it has an end, it has a middle. That's what life is. You know, the life that we call life, it has a beginning, I'm born, has a middle, I'm living, and it has an end, I die. So anything that has a beginning, a middle, and an end is not of God. The Course tells you, you were never born, you will never die. That's content. Form is anything that this world begins in time and ends in time. And you find that same thing, by the way, in my birthday lesson 133. I will not value what is valueless. What's valuable belongs to me. And it gives you two criteria to tell you what has no value at all. The first I call time. Anything begins in time and ends in time, valueless. It says, what good is something of limited value to you, the eternal? And the other I call space. If I have something that another doesn't have, and I think I have something that's valuable, it isn't, because what God gives, he gives to all the same equally. And if another person has something that I think that, oh boy, they know something that I don't know. No, impossible. What God gives, he gives to all equally. So whenever you see differences, I guess the key word here is differences, you're stuck in illusion. There are no differences in the sameness of oneness.
You know, I love that St. Francis quote. What didn't you share that one, Dov? That we already are what we're looking from.
Yeah, well, yeah, that wasn't me that shared it, but yes, I mean, yeah, we're actually looking for ourselves. We are looking for ourselves. And that's why lesson 200 is the last lesson in part one of the workbook. Says, you know, you're never going to find the peace of God where it's not. There's no peace in this world. He says, if you look outside of you, you're going to fail because it's not there. You must look within and you will succeed because that's where it is. And then he says, look within, come home.
Thank you, Dov. Lynn, you wanted to say something else?
I just want to say, I don't express myself very well in prose, but, you know, I think for me, words could be a big distraction. Like we're all feeling the same way, you know, like we're breathing, you know, we're breathing divinely now. And it doesn't matter what, you know, it's just, I think words are ego. I really do. I think it's a distraction. We all want, our main thing is love, no matter what words. Yeah. So I just, you know, like everything, we're all right. You know, like I watch Buddha at the gas pump. Everybody has their ways. And if it leads you to love, God bless you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's beautiful, Lynn. That's true. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, the Course says you're either calling for love, which means you're in fear, or you're expressing love. So love is the language that Lynn is talking about. That's the language of love. The language of love is the idea that I'm either looking for love because I feel I lack it, or I'm extending and I'm giving the love.
Love's a great place to live.
So we already are what we've been looking for. What does that mean in your life? Let's apply that to our own lives before we go, because that summarizes Mooji's main point that doership is a failing device. If we're already what we're looking for, what does that mean in our lives? Let's just take a moment of quiet and be real specific with ourselves. Take a deep breath and allow ourselves to be in non-doership, if there were such a word. Just relaxing into the effortlessness of the now. Relaxing into the definitions that you all gave in the beginning of this meeting of a realized one knows their original nature and has transcended the influence of the ego and the mind. The mind is going to chatter. The ego is going to give you ideas because it's been around a long time. But we agree we are the divine. We are that white paper. We are the DNA of what God is. We appear differently, and we can even love that appearance without believing in that appearance as a separate being doer that's better or worse than other being doers. We can see ourselves as that effortless energy that is timeless, indestructible, undying, eternal, pure, and free. We are the oneness. The oneness is us. Our bodies are in this oneness. They will disappear. It's just something that we got to be in the painting for a while. We don't have to hate it. We don't have to make it an idol. It just is, as long as we're living as this coloration in that painting. Picture yourself the tree or the clouds or the mountain. You're temporarily part of the scenery, but the paper is what you really are. The screen in the movie image. You are what God is. You are here before the body, and you will be here after. You are this serenity that we're experiencing right now. And right now we're one. We started out as separate. And now we're back to one. We're remembering our true nature, which is realization. So I thank you. If anybody would like to make any comments before we leave, or if you'd like to say goodbye or hello, or share anything that touched you. I see some waves.
I'd just like to say this whole thing touches me, and thank you so much for taking the time to give us this time. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And mwah.
Thank you. Rafi, were you waving or did you want to say something?
That's how you say I love you in sign language.
Ah, yes, that's true. Yes. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Bye.
Mwah.
Thanks, Rosalind.
Bye.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you so
Love
much.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Miss Isabel,
Thank
I
you.
didn't see you. How you doing?
What did you say, Rico?
I said hello to Isabel. I didn't see her. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm fine. Good to
Glad
see
think
you.
about
Good to
it. Doing fine.
I couldn't get in last week. I don't know what happened. It's the first and only time.
Well, welcome to the club. I've had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
here now.
Yes, exactly. Even though I had to eat first. Yeah. Yeah. Good to
Me
be
too.
Sorry I had to miss most of it.
Yeah.
This is life calling in California. It's the end of the afternoon and phone calls have to be made before things close. And I just got in one of those corners today.
It's lovely to hear your voice and lovely to have you here.
Glad to see you, Diane. So I'm glad you made it in.
Yeah.
Blessings.
Yeah, I feel bad coming in so late, but I
Never feel bad. Come and go as you like.
And feel bad. This is the house of love. How could you ever feel
Yeah.
bad?
I love it.
anyway, I
Well
love you all.
said. Mwah.
Tumba, me voy.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.